I want to welcome you to another edition into the Invest Podcast. Do me a favor and smack that subscribe button down below to be notified every time we drop brand new dope content. Also, follow me on Instagram at All Things Invest with 3Ts. Look out for Invest Universal. Drop it in April. It'll be me and my team of collaborators. We're going to bring you fitness, nutrition, podcasts, and more in a dope entertainment package. Look for that to drop soon. This is the first on the Invest Podcast. I've had some fitness people, I've had some bodybuilders, had some pro bodybuilders on the show. This is the first time I've had a wife-husband dynamic duo combination, both IFBB pros. Matter of fact, I said, my man Marcus, he actually gave me the John Stockton assist, and actually just going to have him onto the podcast. And he said, I think it would be a little doper and a little more entertaining if I brought my wife on, Haley, also known as Storm Perry, onto the Invest Podcast. And I said, dude, that was a dope assist. That was like a behind the back move. I said, let's do it. Let's set it up. And I want to welcome Marcus and Haley. And your nickname, you're the Creole boy?
I am.
The Creole boy. Yeah, and I want to welcome Storm onto the Invest Podcast. Did that have anything to do with X-Men?
Kind of.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes and no.
Yeah. I'm a super big X-Men fan. Again, thank you guys for coming on. And when I always kick off the show, I want our listeners to kind of get to know you guys a little bit. So can each of one of you guys tell me where both of you guys are from?
Oh, yeah. I'll go first and one more boring. I'm here from Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, okay. Born and raised, okay?
Yep, born and raised.
And what about the Creole boy?
So, born in Louisiana, but I've been in Columbus, Ohio.
From the South? Catfish, all that?
Columbus, man. So I've been here for a long time, but eventually we're gonna fight anyway, but that's another conversation.
Man, I had another guest that lives out in Ohio, and I'd seen some of her. I don't know what the weather is now, but I know what it was a couple weeks ago. And I seen her posting something saying it was like 5 degrees, 10 degrees out there. It's where from the part of Ohio where you guys are from. Does it get pretty cold?
It can, man. I mean, this year we've been pretty blessed with some pretty decent weather, though. Really, but right now today, for example, it's 68. So no complaints. So I think we're in the clear going forward.
Yeah, one thing I would say about me living in California, I had recently traveled out to New York City like about a month ago, and I was like, we stayed like 4 days. It was nice, but I was like, wow. I was kind of like, let me get back to Cali. It was yeah. I wasn't ready. I wasn't quite ready for that because I tried to go out with one of my hoodies on just out there, and then that breeze hit me really quick. I'm out of town. I'm out of town. Cool. So I want to ask, because this is my first time actually having, a couple that bodybuilds competes onto the show. I want to ask, like, how did the two of you guys meet? When did your guys' love story start? Where to start? How to start? I want to hear this.
This is funny, man. So actually, we met at a local gym here in Columbus.
Oh, I think I threw that. I think I might have threw that in one of the questions. A gym, laugh out loud. I was just kind of guessing. I didn't know.
Oh, yeah, it was in the gym, man. We just in the gym doing our thing, and we started, just coming workout partners, things like that, man. And then it just took its course from there, man. We started clicking, just really cool, just something about it was different, because most people you meet in the gym, man, they're like, they can be a little different, maybe a little, kind of stuck in themselves and
for sure,
just ego thing, where she's completely the opposite, man. And I contribute that also because she's a nurse practitioner, man. So I always tell all my buddies, if you get a good nurse practitioner, a good woman, she's probably had some type of at least health background or
hospitality,
hands down.
Definitely. Yeah, because you're right, man. Because in the gym, it's really weird because you got like it's a positive place, but sometimes it's like people don't necessarily date other people always straight from the gym because some of them, one might be cool, and then like the other one, you're kind of like, oh, that person's okay, kind of like stuck on themselves, and you kind of like talk to them, and you maybe try to make small talk and like conversation, and you walk away from that like, I don't quite know about that.
Yep, you're right.
That's awesome. That's cool too. And I also think it's really awesome because like you guys have like a shared interest. You guys kind of like understand each other. You know, like when it's gym time and it's time to go. I know there's some couples and one guy does it and the wife doesn't do it, so it's hard. Or the wife does it and the husband doesn't do it. It's kind of like that whole like why are you going to the gym? So it brings me over there to my next question. When did each one of you get serious about bodybuilding? Did you play sports growing up? What really got you guys serious? Because you guys are at a competitive level and you guys are doing it at a high level and some never get there. So when did these journeys start for both of you?
Her story is way more interesting than mine.
I want to hear your story.
I don't think
Storm.
So. I mean, I always played like sports in middle school, all through high school. I played soccer, lacrosse, cross country. So did a lot of competitive sports growing up. And then even into college, I didn't do college sports, but that's when I got more into running and running marathons.
Whoa.
After I graduated high school and didn't have any more sports, I had to do something fitness related just because that was my outlet. So started out as a marathon runner through like undergrad. And then it kind of morphed more into weightlifting as the longer I kept running, the more I was having like issues with my knees and ankles and just injuries and things like that. So I was like, okay, well, I got to do something to keep me active.
Right.
So I kind of went to the gym and started lifting weights, and I just grew to love it, and I started seeing results like super fast, and I didn't have the greatest relationship with food at that time, so it was also an opportunity I came across through social media, competitive bodybuilding, and I thought this was a great way for me to kind of hone in not only like my competitive nature, but also kind of learn about nutrition and how to fuel my body properly, and that's just kind of how it started. So 2014 was my first show, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
I like that. What about you, my man? What got you into this? What's your story? Because we all got one.
Yeah. So I played a little bit of sports in high school, some football, but I didn't really get into bodybuilding until I don't remember, honestly, probably I don't know, 2013. Kind of just got interested in a little bit, and then I didn't kind of get serious about it until like 2014, really, because went on a local show. And I thought, okay, I can be pretty good at this, and I kind of just buckled down a bit from there. But I was one of these guys who just constantly read bodybuilding magazines. I wanted this. I just
the Flex magazines, all that.
I kind of fell into it, man, and it's just a blessing that I was able to enjoy it like I'm doing and just help others as we go.
Definitely. Yeah. So, how do you guys like balance with work and the gym? Like this stuff, like this bodybuilding thing can be kind of like serious. And all of you guys, what you guys do, I know you guys are involved in doing work with like All Max Nutrition brand, Better Bodies, a lot of things going on. And you guys just did the Arnold. Like, how do you guys balance everything and just keep it going? Because like that's something I really wanted to ask you guys because me myself and a lot of people, we really I'm still kind of trying to figure out my balance, my equilibrium with everything I'm doing from work. I'm in the gym, bodybuilding, business, brand, all that, trying to just kind of keep it grounded, still make sure I got time for the wife and the kids and all those things. So like, how do you guys do it? Because you guys seem like you guys are finding a way to make it work.
Yeah, I think for us, in the beginning, we started to take small swings at things. Because if you try to just dive right into with bodybuilding, fitness, whatever you want to call it, and not pay attention to the important things like your family, your whatever it may be, it's not going to work out. So I think that create that balance is being able to obviously communicate and so forth with your significant other, and just really do things together. That works for us because we meal prep together, man. We train together, we prep together, So I think once you get to that point, man, it's not hard. You just got to really understand that what's important and what's really not so important. You know what I'm saying? And you got to be careful in this sport, man, because you can get sucked in with this social media, this look at me type aspect, and at the end of the day, man, that stuff's not even real. So that's how we balance down. We're just one. We flow as one, man.
you would definitely say that with you guys doing this, having like a spouse that does it and having a spouse that kind of understands what's going on, what you're dealing with, like especially when you're going into camp as far as like your training, getting ready for your competition, because I know, the diet and all that can get really, can get kind of tough, with cutting down the calories, the energy levels are a little bit lower, and it's just like having someone to kind of like understand that a little bit. You would say that right there is a big, huge help, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, we always talk about during prep.
I think we always thrive. I think when we're in prep together, I've heard of other people, other couples say like, "Oh, I could never prep with my partner." But we love that. I think we have a really good dynamic where we work off of each other. And I know there's days where I'm just dragging and I need a little push, and he's like, "Come on, let's get to the gym. Let's do this. You can do this," and vice versa. I do it for him. So, and it helps having a partner that like knows, when he's 2 weeks out and I'm 2 weeks out and I'm hangry and irritable, I'm like
super cranky, yeah.
The same way. Yeah. Like I get it, but we just it wasn't always easy, when we started prepping together, and the first few years of our relationship, obviously there, like with any relationship, there's learning. You got to learn your partner and how to communicate with them and everything. But once you get to that point where you can communicate, I think that's the vast majority of issues with probably most couples these days.
Yeah.
There's a lack of communication, or if there is, it's just it's not translating to the other partner, So once you get to that point, there's it's like it's easy.
Yeah, it really is.
You guys have got the experience definitely to in the time in of the trial and error to definitely have got that down. Like I love that. It's good to hear that, because like there's some people that be listening to this podcast are like, well, I need to kind of hear that, because I got some buddies, I got some friends that they bodybuild and some compete, and some of them the wife's good with it, but there's a couple that's just like really it's kind of. So I'm like, yeah, man, you're gonna have to find a way to get some balance in there, because they got to be on board with you on that, definitely. So I seen you guys did the Arnold a couple of weeks ago, the Arnold Classic out there in Ohio. I'm actually looking at trying to get myself a ticket to go next year. It's dope. I've always been wanting to go. How was it out there? I know you guys had a booth set up with All Max. Stuff sold out, did really well. How's that whole environment? Do you guys go out to the Arnold pretty much every year?
Yeah, we're contracted to do the Arnold Classic and the Olympia, which we love to do anyway. But this year wasn't bad. It was pretty good. So it was good to see a little bit of normalcy back. You see people, out and about, talking to each other with no mask. People were spending money. They were in good spirits. It wasn't as large of a crowd, and I think that was kind of expected. But it was still, everyone had a good time. We haven't seen people in years, and it was good seeing a lot of folks. So.
Yeah, because a lot of craziness in the world the last 2 years with having to go through the whole COVID, the whole the coronavirus and stuff like that. So I just want to touch on that really quickly, because I know man, for us, I know it sucked for the whole world, but having the gyms close down, which I understand they had to close, because this stuff was I remember watching the news. I think it was in 2020 that I think when this happened. I was watching the news in January, and I was like, it's a COVID, it's over there. Then it's here. I keep hearing about more and more cases, I'm like, they're going to shut stuff down, and they're going to close the gyms, they're going to close the schools, they're going to close pretty much everything. And I believe a lot of people, especially people that I believe fitness has a lot to do with not just the physical health, but has a lot to do with the mental health as well. So I believe a lot of us kind of the last 2 years went through a lot just mentally, not being able to, get into the gym, go out there and kind of be around people. Cause working out at home is great, but some of us also too need that a little bit of that socialization as well, feeling that energy and things like that of a little bit of people around you. And we lost that for a really long time. I had some buddies of mine that really struggled with man, I'm at home. I'm super duper depressed. And I'm like, yeah. So did you guys deal with any of that, or were you guys pretty much good? Or do you feel any of that, kind of that COVID kind of exhaust?
I would say I didn't. I mean,
I knew he would say that.
I mean, remember she's a nurse practitioner, so she's behind the scenes all the madness. So
he's just much more resilient of a person than most. So I definitely did. I can 100% attest to that. I feel like probably the vast majority of us could. I mean, no way was anyone's life not changed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
yes,
from the pandemic. So I think obviously some people were a little bit more resilient than others. But yeah, it was tough for me, and both of us actually around that time, because I know you had recently had your surgery on your knee.
Yep.
And then I recently herniated 2 discs in my back, like around that time. So on one hand, it kind of worked out that the gyms were closed because neither of us were really training for the first part of that anyway.
Okay.
But we were also dealing with these injuries at the same point, which is being, an athlete and having an injury that puts on its own set of stressors and everything. So
yes, good point. About that.
Yeah, there were a lot of things we were.
Hey, I got a question for you. Did you get sick? Was it early 2020 or 19?
Yeah.
Like February.
Only 19.
Or did you get sick around early 2019, January, February?
I think I was a little bit sick. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was a real tester for COVID, man, because I swear everyone we talked to around that time had some nasty flu, man, that took everyone out, man.
Everybody.
I think it was COVID, man. I swear, man.
My job was empty. They actually had to like really shuffle people around because we had so many people that were out. We just spread like just like wildfire. And I'm like, Jesus, like, what is this? I thought this shit was Armageddon. I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna get. I got stressed. I started getting stressed because people started getting sick and started putting all the deaths on the news. I had to quit watching that. I had to stop totally watching it for a couple of days. I was literally sitting there getting sick to my stomach, getting totally depressed on watching the news. So I turned the news off, and I still try to kind of stay away from the news now because the news is nothing but bad news. Everything's bad. So I want to ask you, I seen you using something, and it was like something you were doing like with the shoulder and like stability. It's like some type of bar. Is that what I'm dealing with a shoulder problem right now? I've been trying to get through it for about a month or two now, and it's just fucking nagging me. And I'm like, I gotta get back 100%. But it's been just really getting to me. So I seen that. I wanted to kind of like just ask you about like what that was. Looked pretty cool. It looked like what is that thing?
Yeah, so dive into that. Oh yeah.
Okay. So we work strictly with. They're called band-bell bars. There's a few different types.
Band-bell bars?
Band-bell, yes.
Yeah.
B-E-L-L.
Okay.
Yeah.
So band-bell bars, and it's just a different type of training. It's kinetic training. So essentially, what we're doing is we're changing the dynamic of the movement, whatever movement it is. Because we eventually train with these bars full body. We'll do squats, we'll do shoulder press, chest press, anything else, rows.
Everything, man. So
everything, yeah.
Yeah, and that would help actually. I mean, it's like you said earlier, it's stabilizing the weight. So, in your case, you've got, maybe a little pin to your shoulder.
Yeah.
But to guarantee you, man, if you work with some of those bars for a few weeks, you'd have no issues, man, because it strengthens your tendons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to our joints and joint health, you want good joint mobility, which is like the actual range of motion.
Right.
Whatever joint you're talking about, if it's my shoulder joint, a good range of motion for your shoulder.
Right.
So you want good joint mobility, but you also want good joint stability. Right. So the two different things. Joint stability is essentially how well that joint is able to hold a weight or control a movement. And that's what these bars do. So if you're just typically training with, dumbbells or a steel barbell, you're not training your stabilizer muscles. But when we train with the earthquake bar, the band-bell bars, and the bands, and all the shaking and everything, we're actually strengthening and engaging those stabilizer muscles. So it really helps. A lot of people think these bars are just used for rehab, which they're great for that. Especially people who've had like shoulder replacements, hip replacements, things like that. but we actually use it not only to keep our joints healthy and prevent joint injury, but we've been able to grow muscle for 6-7 years now with it. Yeah. And I really think that it's helped us do what we do and stay healthy doing it.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely good. I saw that. I'm definitely going to check that out. I was super duper intrigued. I couldn't wait to kind of dissect it and dive into that a little bit. Before I let you guys go, any wise words from two pro bodybuilders, IFBB pros about telling people it's never too late to get involved in fitness. It's never too late to pick up exercise. A big part of why I do this podcast, I like to really just push the awareness about health and fitness, nutrition. Not necessarily that we're not always going to be big and buff and bodybuilders and all that type of stuff, but we can all be healthy and all take care of ourselves. It's never too late. What would your words of wisdom be to someone that's going to watch this podcast, maybe to motivate them to maybe give it a shot?
Yeah, I'd say don't quit. I mean, consistency is so important. Anything good wasn't built overnight, right? So
for sure,
you gotta build your body, and you gotta continue to build the body. Like you mentioned before, you don't have to be some female or male figure ripped to shreds like in a magazine. Right. That's not realistic all the time. That's just for that particular situation. But for health wise, it's not really expensive to eat healthy. It's not. It really is. You can get chicken breasts at a good price. You can get lean turkey at a good price. It's not difficult. It's just being consistent with it and learn to change your mindset and just get out of that laziness as if, I can't do this. I can't eat dull food. It's not dull. You can salt your food. You can barbecue sauce. It's not the old methods of you can't have salt in your food. That's old. So that's my key point.
And going off of what he said, I would also say consistency, patience, all that super important. And just get started. Whether you get started tomorrow or a year from now, you know what I mean? Just get started.
Yeah.
Because nothing's stopping you. And also a big one for a lot of us, I know it's really, really hard, but try not to compare yourself to other people.
Yes.
That's the hardest for most people. I'll see people, I'll talk to people, and they'll see somebody, and they're like, I want to be that. Or I'm not that. Or, and they I can't be that. I can't measure up to that, so I'm never going to try. So I always tell people, let's go ahead and be the best that you can be, the best you. Work on that, put everything into yourself. You're going to feel good. That's one thing I tell people. Don't worry about the person next to you. Focus on doing everything you got to do to be the best you can be. And again, people look at social media all day, and unfortunately that doesn't necessarily help. And we got some great people out there on social media look really, really good, but that's not, like you said, that isn't realistic for everybody. And a lot of time the people that do have the ripped to shreds look, a lot of time that's for a period of time going into competition and things of that nature. And most them don't walk around exactly like that, year round. That's the look. But, people kind of they think they have to have that. And they kind of I'm just not even going to try to do anything. They get kind of discouraged off. But I tell them, man, you gotta maybe even leave social media alone for a little bit. I have a buddy who's talking to me about it almost every day.
It's so hard.
Anyway, it's been awesome. I have to get you guys back on again. You guys rocked. My man Marcus, the Creole boy, his wife Haley, aka Storm. I want you guys to enjoy the rest of your evening. Continue investing, continue rocking. Take care.